one of the key arguments that you very often heard about from the Brexiteers was, oh, there's so much EU red tape, there's far too much paperwork involved in all this. Oh, it's all rules and regulations. Woe unto the British manufacturer who has to fill out mountains of paperwork to deal with the EU's claims. Of course, as British businesses are very quickly finding out, and was very obvious from the start, British businesses are now going to have to do more paperwork to trade with the EU. In fact, a document, just for point of size, to essentially get one. There's a video, was it by the BBC, where they showed like how much a bigger piece of paperwork for like just one exhaust is about that thick. It's quite a weighty piece, and if any of that at any point, if there is a missignature, something has been wrongly placed, something that has been missed out, then that entire shipment has to wait at the border until that is done, and that can sometimes take up to 2 to 3 hours, and this does happen now at the border. So, and I think it was put it at 20%. Yeah, it was like a 20% rate of errors happening, and now you're expecting even more of that paperwork. It's absolutely ridiculous. But we just got our border lines published by the government about how our border is going to work and how our freight is going to work, and it's to quote here the Yorkshire Bylines article we're going to go through on this, it just borders on the ridiculous. So I think with that we'll jump straight into the article. So with fewer than 90 days to go before we complete the transition period and leave the EU completely, the government has finally published its border operating manual to explain how the borders will work for freight after Brexit. The 138-page densely packed document details the paperwork and formalities that will be required due to Brexit. If you are still wondering what all the brouhaha is about, then take a moment to absorb what businesses who trade with the EU will have to do to be Brexit ready. From the 1st of January 2021, traders importing non-controlled goods, things which don't require special permits, which covers everything from clothes to electronics, will have to go through and prepare for basic customs requirements. This will include, for example, keeping sufficient records of imported goods. Traders will need to fill customs declarations from this date for controlled goods, listed in Annex C of the report, and for excise goods like alcohol and tobacco products. The model sets out that goods will have to go through physical checks at the point of destination or other approved premises, and on all high-risk live animals and high-priority plants and plant products, export declarations and UK exit safety and security declarations will be required for all goods. So straight away, this is a mountain of paperwork that companies have to do. And indeed, many companies will now have to hire people specifically just to take on this extra amount of paperwork. And if you go and track down the BBC, just look at how big that one bit of paperwork is for one exhaust port. So you can imagine what a full shipment may actually look like. It is pretty damn huge. And that's just paperwork just to send one thing across into the EU. It also stipulates that from April of next year, all products of animal origin, such as meat, honey, milk or eggs, and all regulated plants and plant products will require pre-notification and relevant health documents. Full customs declarations at the point of import and payment of Relevant tariffs will also be required from July 2021 for traders moving any goods, who will also have to submit safety and security declarations and be prepared for customs compliance checks either at the port or on an inland site. For those who thought Brexit was about cutting red tape, at a brief glance, this document puts paid to all that. The post-Brexit bureaucracy will be 100 times more complex and with lashings of new red tape to match. Again, this is again a key argument of Brexit. This would remove all this red tape. It doesn't. It's just added a whole new parcel of it. It's literally added wheelbarrows of it. It's unbelievable. But, there you go. Once again, another argument for Brexit just gone up in smoke. Anyway, so with the full border controls on the EU goods on the horizon, the UK will need to have in place the infrastructure to meet these requirements, including customs compliance checks and sanitary and science. I can't say it. Can't let me get my tongue straight. And synthesis checks, and all of that by 2021. Much of the infrastructure will be at ports and border locations, but where this isn't possible, the government will have to provide inland facilities. So, where ports do not have the space. So, all of a sudden, Hull, our closest, if you were to go, where's the closest port to me, it's Hull. The city port of Hull is sitting directly in front of the city. So not is Hull going to have huge traffic jams in the future, almost on a daily basis. It's going to be unbelievable, but there you go, and good luck if you live in Hull. But around the surrounding area of Hull, there will have to be new customs, these inland customs checking points built, which is going to cause even bigger problems. Because like you saw with the people down in Kent, which was a place, a big field where they could take their dogs walking, there was this, nice, thing. There is now being a massive area and site being built to do this. And, that's going to affect a lot of people's house prices. And, well, a lot of people just aren't going to be very happy. So, right now, Ebbsfleet International and North Weald Airfield and Selvington, Ashford and Warrington are earmarked as facilities. The government is exploring whether the range of functions at the Sevington can be expanded to control full border control checks, and looking at further inland sites at the Thames Gateway, Birmingham, Holyhead, Dover and the South Wales. Further sites are also being sought. The document also contains more information about the Passport to Kent scheme, scheme that was much derided in the press just 2 weeks ago. It confirms that there will be £300 fines for EU-bound HGV drivers crossing the country line without a Kent access permit. Drivers will now have to be registered with a system formerly known as Smart Freight, now called the Check-in HGV is ready to cross the border service. Faisal Palm pointed out on Twitter that Operation Brock is mentioned too. And this is just his tweet. So, Operation Brock gets mentioned too. Definitely one of my favourite stories of 2017-2019 was when they were briefed with an official denial that it had anything to do with Brexit. But when we got a full revealing it, it stood for Brexit operations across Kent. So that's what Brock meant. So there are still concerns about business preparedness and these changes, and never mind about the government's ability to actually have everything ready. I still say that's not a chance of having any shape or form, which is going to add even more chaos. So the UK Major Ports Group also recently said that the sector can handle more EU-UK traffic after the transition period ends in January 2021, but only if it is spread around the country. And according to an insider, the industry body said that the supply chains can be more resilient if freight can flow through UK ports outside the so-called short straits of the English Channel. Meanwhile, the British Port Association says it has welcomed the clarity from yesterday's report, but suggests there's a lot more to do to prepare for next year. And this is their quote: "The port industry welcomes further clarity on what our borders will look like post-EU transition. There is a huge amount of preparation underway. However, timescales are tight. The sector is now engaged in technical discussions on various government departments with the implementation of what the requirements will mean at the frontier. The situation is gradually progressing, but there is still much to be done." Nearer to home, the Humber ports are still aren't looking anything like ready. Hull's King George Dock is earmarked as a new border control post to deal with the exports to and from the EU, according to the Hull Daily Mail, but ministers haven't even confirmed any specific preferred locations. According to the paper, the latest forecasts suggest that nearly 300 physical inspections of EU food and imports will be required every year at the terminal and in Kilnholm from next July, which each inspection typically taking around an hour to complete. Added to that, nearly 19,000 document checks will be required annually on EU food and high-risk non-food products travelling to and from the ports, and yet there are still no estimates from the governments on the amount of checks required on EU fish, organic products that are due to start on the 1st of January. The idea that suddenly freight can just pick up sticks and use the Humber ports for entry and exit is simply fanciful. It may be the case with goods planning and appropriate infrastructure and massive improvement to the road and rail support, which would be welcomed. But this takes years to put in place, and we haven't got years. We've just got a couple of months. And once again, the government appears to be caught with its pants down. And one worrying consequence is the lack of preparedness is that it could jeopardise our just-in-time production. We have known that we were leaving the EU since 2016. Still, to be discussing land purchase for vital border infrastructure at this late stage, when infrastructure needs to be in place urgently, is simply negligent, and it increasingly feels like this just out of time government is just plain out of time. It also should be noted that the document explicitly states that this model does not cover matters specifically in the Northern Ireland Protocol. How the border between Great Britain and Northern Ireland will operate has yet to be revealed. So as you can see, just to quote what name of the article again, this just borders on the absolute ridiculous. It's beyond belief. But there you go. This is of course what we warned about all the way back in 2016. If the government, if the Brexiteers actually had a plan in place, maybe we might not be in this, mess. Maybe if we had taken, the Norway deal, again, we might not be in this mess. But of course, apparently, we can't be in the EU in any way, shape or form because apparently it's the will of the people. Of course, leaving the EU never was they were never fully clear on what that fully meant, and we are about to find out fully. And bear in mind, these are just the stuff that we know about. I guarantee you, there is going to be unexpected consequences from us leaving the EU on industries and all sorts of kind of stuff, especially data. Data one is huge on this, but I need to speak to someone about this because the issue surrounding that and the data transfer is going to be, it's going to be massive. But apart from that, thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time. Please do hit that like and share button. Yeah, it does help out the channel, as I said, for those who understood that. I'm so glad I have people who can understand my bizarre Yorkshire tongue. But yes, thank you for joining us. Please do hit that subscribe button if you are new and see all my wonderful latest videos about the mess that is going to be Brexit, because the train is about to crash well and truly. And of course, if you'd like to support the channel another way, there is a link to my Patreon down below, as well as a one-off donation link. And thank you to the people who do support me on that already. Your support is very much appreciated. And with that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.